tadartham karma kaunteya mukta sangaha samachara. Therefore, O Kaunteya, O Arjuna, you do everything getting rid of the sangaha, mukta sangaha. This sangha means clinging to the result, clinging to what I like and hating what I dislike. Leaving that sangha, don't cling to anything. Do it tadartham. Tat means the truth. You can call it Ishvara, you can call it God, you can call it Jajna, whatever. That ultimate tat means the ultimate truth. Tadartham. That means, as we say, that whatever you do it surrendering to the Lord. These are very common words. That thinking you are doing as if for the Lord you are doing. You are an instrument, you are doing for the Lord. But here it is not so. We say we are doing for the Lord, but how will you know that you have surrendered to the Lord in doing it? Nobody can see, because you have not seen God. Whether God exists or not also we do not know. So how can I surrender to God? We may start with a certain thing, but to make it effective, make the surrender effective, we have to think in this manner as Bhagavad Gita has presented. That it is our clinging, our desires which is not making it surrendered to the Lord. Whenever that is not there, it automatically becomes surrendered. Whether it is to Lord existing or non-existing, it doesn't matter. Everything has to do with our own mindset, that it becomes a surrendered. Really speaking, the surrender, we go on saying, it doesn't have meaning. Because God is never coming back to us saying that, no, you have not surrendered. The test of surrender comes only when we have a Guru. Because Guru will come and tell us, suppose I want to rest at that time, Guru ask me to do something. Then the question will come that whether I am ready to surrender my rest or not. Suppose I want to read the Shastras only, and Guru says, now you make the building. Then the test comes that whether I will be able to make the building or I cling to the studies. Everywhere you will find that this surrender becomes operative only when the Ishwar comes down as the Guru before us, a living idol, living Ishwar. Then surrender becomes a real test. And we understand that surrender needs the greatest self-effort. Greatest purushakara, self-effort. Because before that, in the name of surrender, actually we are becoming lazy. Whenever we don't want to do, we say that because God has not willed, I am not doing. Whatever we cannot do, God has not given me the power, so I cannot do. So everything, whatever we cannot do is surrendered to the Lord, that because Lord has not given me. So it is an excuse. Before, generally the surrender is an excuse not going, not doing anything properly or so. Even perfection, वो उन्होंने जन्म लिया है perfection के साथ, वो करेंगे. हमारे बचपन से हमारे फादर भी वैसे थे, हम भी ऐसे हैं, वो नहीं होगा. One father had two sons. The father was a drunkard. So one son became a drunkard. He used to say that, what can I do? My father was a drunkard, so I have also taken to drinks. The other boy said that, I have seen my father drinking and making havoc in the house. So right from the beginning, from young age, I have decided I will never come near the liquor. I will never touch liquor. So who has taken which decision? Is it not his self-effort? One person says that my father is drinking, I am also drinking. Another person says that my father is drinking and creating havoc, so I don't drink. It is all everywhere, it is self-effort. But in the name of surrender, we generally keep away the self-effort. That becomes realistic when we have to stay with a Guru and follow his words. Suppose you have fixed a marriage with some boy or your daughter's marriage with some boy, and Guru feels something that it is not going to be all right, and he says that please don't get married to this boy. You will find most of the people cannot accept it. इतना ढूंढ के एक दामाद मिला है, अभी स्वामी जी बोल रहे हैं कि इसको नहीं चाहिए, कैसे और मिलेगा? करा देते हैं. स्वामी जी को क्या पता है, वो तो सन्यासी हैं, विवाह के विषय में उनको क्या पता है, करा देते हैं. Then within a year they will come back for divorce हो जा रहा है, ये हो रहा है, स्वामी जी कुछ कीजिए. This is the general way of handling things. So whenever the Guru is right in front, our self-effort will be tried, and you will find that to surrender, greatest self-effort is necessary. Every step the self-effort too, because it is to win over our slavery to the objective world. Self-effort means winning over the slavery we have towards the objective situation or objective world. That slavery can be of various kinds. So, to listen to the Guru or to do something Ishwarecha means completely getting rid of the slavery and being master of oneself. That whatever the intelligence says, whatever our Viveka Buddhi says, the mind will be ready to listen to it, and the body and indriyas should be ready to do it accordingly. There will be a complete harmony in the being. This is the result of this. The whole being gets integrated. That generally always we are struggling, the indriyas are struggling with the mind is not approving, oh baad mein gadbad ho jayega, abhi ye mat karo, but indriyas want, so finally the mind agrees, you do it, but the intelligence still says that don't do, you will be in trouble, but we don't listen. So there is always a fight going on between the mind and the intelligence and the body. But in this case, in the case of surrender, we are surrendering to our real self. By getting connected with that, our buddhi becomes the Viveka Buddhi, which will always take us to the auspicious, keep us on the auspicious path. So, surrender will make all our indriyas as well as mind, buddhi, everything connected to the soul. So, everything will be in harmony. Whatever the inner voice says, the buddhi will say that yes, this is the right thing. It will prompt to the mind that this has to be done. The mind without any trouble will listen to the buddhi, Viveka Buddhi. And as the mind says, the indriyas also will listen. So, it is a completely integrated personality. It results in integrated personality. That is called surrender. That you are no more slave to the worldly situation, worldly attraction and repulsion, both raga dvesha. You are no more slave to your raga dvesha. You are moving in the same world. World has not changed. There is nothing to be done with the world. We don't have to change the world. We have only to treat our raga dvesha, our clinging to what we like and the hating what we dislike. If that is gone, then we are master of ourselves and we become master of the world also. That is what Bhagavad Gita says. रागद्वेष वियुक्तैस्तु विषयान् इंद्रियैश्चरन् आत्मवश्यैर विधेय आत्मा प्रसादम अधिगच्छति. Ragadvesha viyuktaistu, one who has eliminated his ragadvesha, Vishayan indriyaischcharan, he is also moving around in the same world with the world objects, with his same indriyas, with the same sense organs. But Atmavashyair, Videya Atma, this is the important point here. Atmavashyair means he is not slave to the objective situation, objective objects and objective situation. He is under the vash, under the discipline of his Atma, Atmavashyair. That means he is always guided by his inner voice. Videya Atma, that is called Videya Atma. That from inner harmony, inner guidance, he is disciplined by that. Controlled is a wrong word because it means forceful control. It is not control. He is harmonious with his inner voice. That harmony makes him do everything. Atmavashyair Videya Atma. Now when we become like this, prasadam adhigacchati. Prasada. He attains prasada. This is what is the ananda. The other day somebody was asking, what is the ananda of a knower? Actually the ananda is prasada. Prasada means, English closest you can say, placidity. That prasada will be there in dukkha as well as sukha. It is not the prasada will be there only in sukha. It will be there in dukkha also equally. It is a placidity of the being. There is no clash going on in the inner part of the different aspects of our being. So that everything is in harmony. So he gets flooded with the prasada. Prasadam adhigacchati. Remaining in the same world, interacting with the same world in various ways. Maybe sometimes sweet ways, sometimes scolding people also, sometimes shouting at people also, but he will not have any inner agitation in doing anything. Ihaivatayir jitas sargo. He wins over the whole srishti by that. By becoming master of our ragadvesha, master of ourself, we become master of the whole world. So this tadartham karma kaunteya mukta sangha samachara. You do everything becoming freed of the clinging for tat artham, means surrendering to the Lord or for the Ishwarecha as we say. Ramana Maharshi has said that Ishwararpitam nechaya kritam, very small couplet. Ishwararpitam nechaya kritam. When it becomes Ishwararpitam, I said that you have to have a guru to understand, but here he is saying, suppose you don't have a guru. Ramana Maharshi did not have a guru. So, actually it is not known whether he had guru or not. People believe that he did not have any guru. Now, Ishwararpitam nechaya kritam. That means when you do not do according to your desires, then it becomes Ishwararpitam. There are common thumb rules also. Suppose how will you know whether you have desire or not? Suppose something has to be done, you want to do something. In your mind you think that what is the harm if I don't do? If you are equally stable with not doing it also, that means your desires, you don't have any strong desire there. At least strong desire you do not have. If you have a strong desire, you will not be able to not doing it. You have to do it. Similarly, something you don't want to do, you ask that what is the harm if I do it? If you don't have a dvesha towards it, then you will be able to do it when it is necessary. So raga dvesha can be tested like that. At least to intensity of it can be tested like that. So here he has taken the jajna to an universal level. That last day also I said that the whole world, the whole universe is a jajna of the Lord. That everywhere so much of activity is going on. No desire is there. The earth is running around the sun, the moon is running around the moon, around the earth. Plants are going, flowers are blossoming, galaxies are getting destroyed, galaxies are getting born. Everywhere all these functions are happening just naturally. There is no desire involved everywhere. So this desireless action is called jajna in Bhagavad Gita. So when we consider ourselves that when the whole universe is functioning without desire, can I not also function being a part of the universe, having some special qualities which other elements may not have? I may have a mind which the plants may not have. I may have a self-will which the animals may not have. But with all that also, can we not function harmonious with nature? If we can, then it becomes a jajna. It will happen only when we are keeping away our special clinging to what we like and hating what we dislike. In other sense, when we keep away the ego which we posit always, which is not true. Ego means here it is egotism, the ahankara we say. That whatever we are doing, it is done by my the body-mind instrument. Am I responsible for that? It is a product of nature. If my intelligence is sharp, we feel very egoistic about it. I am very intelligent. You are intelligent because you have been given birth as an intelligent boy. Do you have any credit for your intelligence? Suppose you are a dull, then we feel very small about it. That is also an ego. I am born, I am a product of nature. With these faculties I have been born. Even people have lot of ahankara if they are looking beautiful. For the look, intelligence at least you can brush up. Also, of course, beauty also you can prepare. But even without that, as a child also they are egoistic about their rupa, about their beauty. So, the whole action we are doing is done by the three gunas. As the first few days I have explained, that it is the guna guneshu vartanta. All the gunas means the nature's powers. They are working, they are functioning. As they are functioning everywhere without any ego, they are functioning through my body-mind complex also. By a delusion, we are positing a special egoistic I over there. One I is there, that will be there. Our hub of our personality is there, and our consciousness as it is reflected in our buddhi, that is there. That I is fine. But we are positing with that हमने ये किया है, हमने वो किया है, हमें ये करना है, वो करना है, both past and future. That association is creating the ego which is not all right. There is a shloka which says, Atita ananusandhanam bhavishyad avicharanam audaasinyam api praptam jivan muktasya lakshanam. Who is a jivan mukta? They have so many shlokas about it. This is one shloka, I think Yoga Vasishta perhaps. Atita ananusandhanam. Anusandhanam means always going behind and looking into it. Generally we are always doing either Atita anusandhanam and bhavishyat vicharanam. That means either we are looking behind, हमने वो किया था, ये किया था, either we are feeling elated about something good I have done, or sinful about something wrong I have done, small about something wrong I have done. Either these are the thoughts, or हमें ये करना है, वो करना है, करके क्या होगा? That either in the future we are imagining, or in the past we are loitering. Here he is saying atita ananusandhanam, na anusandhanam. Don't run after the atita at all. Whatever to be learned, message, etc., you take it and you can incorporate it. You don't have to constantly run behind that. Bhavishyad avicharanam. Don't go on imagining about future, what will happen. I will open a factory, then this will be produced, then I will have money, then you will have this. The moment the child is born, we start imagining about whether he will become a software engineer or what he will become. I have seen a mother who was very, very worried and fearful. The small girl she had, she started thinking if she is getting raped, what will happen? So much of raping is going on. So the mother is worried about if my daughter get raped by others. She is a small girl of 2 years or 3 years at that time she was. See how we imagine things. Bhavishyad vicharanam. So he is saying bhavishyad avicharanam. Not to go behind the past and not to loiter in the future. Not to imagine the future. Audasinyam api praptam. Udasina. Udasina always, often we use in a wrong sense. Udasina means a person who is not doing anything, always looking the absent-minded, that kind of a sense. It is not so. The word has come from ut asinam. Ut means upar, elevated. He is always sitting on an elevated pedestal. Such a person is udasina. His mind is always lofty. It is always seated on an elevated platform. So he doesn't get involved in small things, small selfish thoughts or anything. Audasinyam api praptam. He always remains in a elevated, lofty state of mind. Jivan muktasya lakshanam. Now, many questions are there where they will say, if ultimately it is all same, then why does he have to think lofty? Can he not think something bad also? सब कुछ तो समान है. There are many questions, I will reply later. सब कुछ समान है, तो what is the point in becoming virtuous? Vice and virtue both are same in the ultimate level. This is the trouble with the Advaita philosophy. So I will answer it later. So he says, tadartham karma kaunteya mukta sanga samachara. Then, sahajajnaha prajasrishtva purovacha prajapatihi anena prasavishyadvam esha vo astu ishta kamadhuk. Is a little difficult word. Esha vaha means for you. Astu ishta kamadhuk. वो अस्त्विष्ट कामधुक. वो स्त्विष्ट कामधुक. वो अस्त्विष्ट कामधुक. वह अस्ति वो अस्ति. वह अस्तु वो अस्तु. अस्तु इष्ट अस्त्विष्ट कामधुक. Like that. So he says that when the Creator created human beings, he created sahajajnaha. Along with that, this jajna also was conceived of. That means creation was conceived of along with jajna, is what he is saying. Then after creating, the creator Prajapati, he said that anena prasavishyadvam. You all grow, have your progeny and all, you grow by this jajna. That yajna was created along with that, and by this yajna you grow, you propagate your lineage and all. And esha vaha astu ishtakamadhuk. And may this yajna give you your whatever is auspicious for you, whatever is good for you, all those things are given by this yajna. This is what is said. Now we have to understand it in various levels also. Ordinarily yajna will not give us the real meaning here. When he says that sahajajnaha prajas srishtva, when the Creator created us along with yajna, it means that right from the beginning in our creation the possibility of having this yajna attitude is there. And the Creator wanted that we always fulfill this yajna attitude so that everything good happens for us. If we had done everything with this yajna attitude, then our civilization would have been in a much better state. Because we are flouting this yajna attitude, it is, what is the yajna attitude? Being non-selfish. This is the yajna attitude. Yajna means you completely expand yourself in the whole universe. Anything that is gross, making it subtle is the yajna. Suppose I am holding on to something, some property I am holding on to. Having the yajna bhavana means we think that I cannot only enjoy this, this is to be enjoyed by others also. We think of others also. Suppose we are taking food, we never think of the cultivators who have produced the food, the vegetable, the rice who have produced, or the traders who have made this available for us. Do we think of it? We just take the food and enjoy the food. When we have a comprehensive vision about whatever is happening, we are not selfish, we are not thinking about ourselves, but we are aware of the whole universe as it is functioning, then it becomes a yajna attitude. So whenever we are doing any work, if we are not doing with the personal gain attitude, that carrot of happiness, then it becomes yajna. So we have to extend it to the universal level. This possibility of doing everything in the yajna attitude was there right from the beginning, from the creation of the human being. Because that is our, where from we are created. The fundamental creation is the Atma, the soul, the consciousness. That consciousness has become everything. But we don't remember that. But at least we are a material projection of the consciousness. And what is our real I? When we look for the real I, go within our body-mind complex, find out the real I. It is the consciousness which is the seer of everything. Not only that, I explained earlier also that looking at the mirror and looking at the sun, that ultimately we are the universal consciousness. So are we not a product of that consciousness? We are an appearance in that consciousness. So that has been there right from the beginning. That is the anadi, that is the truth we have. So if we are aware of our real identity which is universal, if we are aware of our real identity, then everything becomes yajna. That I am universal. What is not becoming yajna is we are always fragmenting, we are always segregating. ये हमारे लिए है, तुम्हारे लिए नहीं है, हम यहाँ रहेंगे, तुम क्यों यहाँ. Everywhere we are fragmenting and we are selfish about everything. That means we are taking us away from our real identity. The real identity is one everywhere, it is the same everywhere. From there we are constricting our I into our own body-mind complex, saying that this much only I am. You get it? That is why we are called Atmaha in Bhagavatam as well as here also. Atmaha means one who has killed his Atma. That means one who has committed suicide. That means all of us have committed suicide. The Shastras say that all of us have committed suicide. Why? Because we don't know what I am in reality. So is it not equal to killing the real I and considering I am the small I? You get the point? The real I we are always killing. We have killed and we are killing. Because we don't know who am I. We are thinking I am that small I. So have we not killed our real I? So the expression of the Shastras about us is we have all committed suicide. Our real I has been killed. Atmaha we are. So Yajna means always to expand ourselves and understand the unity in diversity. The whole universe is appearing on this Atma which I am. Not knowing the real dimension, I am thinking always I am fearful, I am desirous of something, I am running after something, I am running away from something, I am fearful of so many things. It is only because of our misunderstanding of that I.